Why are political endorsements important? Because they benefit the candidates who get them. Now, if you'd like to know how and why, stick with me because I am going to fill your cup. What we're going to cover in this video are 6 ways that political endorsements benefit political candidates. Then we're going to talk about the kinds of endorsements that people get and how they work. Item number 1, it's called credibility. When you are a political candidate, when you are endorsed by a prominent organization or an influential person in your community, or an opinion leader from a blog site or a podcast, it enhances your credibility as a candidate because people notice that you have received support from a prominent person in your community. It gives you what we call stature. An endorsement gets you attention. It gets you attention on social media. It gets the attention of reporters who note that you have received the endorsement from a prominent person. That gets your name in the newspaper. Newspapers read by influential people and rank and file voters who have noticed that you have received the endorsement from someone that they know and trust in their community. Number 3. It enhances your viability. Now, if you're a first-time candidate, these are a couple of things you're going to run into as you begin your campaign. You're going to wonder where all the money needs to come from that you're going to need in your campaign. You're going to wonder about where you get all the endorsements that some incumbents get just for the asking. When you get an endorsement, especially as a first-time candidate from a prominent organization or a prominent leader in your community or even your political party, it says something about your viability as a candidate, that you are not a nobody, that you have the support of influential interest in your community who believe in you. The 4th way is what we call branding. Let's say that you've been endorsed by several prominent public and private sector unions that speak on behalf of working people in your community. There is an assumption on the people who see that you've been endorsed by the organizations that you are on the side of working people. Same thing if you're endorsed by an anti-tax group, if you're endorsed by an environmental organization, if you're endorsed by a group advocating for more housing in your community. It brands you. It's a good housekeeping seal of approval from people who in theory have examined your candidacy and concluded that you are the best candidate for their members. There are 2 other ways that I'm going to mention here that it helps you. Some of these groups that have endorsed you have a whole bevy of volunteers that are going to be interested in helping you. Remember that many of these organizations have membership roles. And when these organizations announce that they have decided to endorse your campaign, they are emailing their members and texting their members, suggesting to them that they volunteer in your campaign to help you get the job done. Now, what can a volunteer do in your campaign? They can staff your headquarters, they can travel with you as a candidate, they can help you do door-to-door work, knocking on doors and putting up yard signs. So that's the first way these organizations help you. There are also a number of organizations that when they endorse, also vote to make large-scale contributions to political campaigns. So with this kind of endorsements that we're talking about here, certain organizations come with money and manpower to help you win an election. Those are the 6 ways that endorsements benefit political candidates. Now we've talked about how you benefit from them. Let's turn to the kinds of political endorsements that help candidates. One are endorsements that you might get from elected officials or people prominent either in the country or your community. And I'll just give a real-life example. If you're running in a Republican primary, you want the endorsement of Donald Trump. If you're running in a Democratic primary and you're appealing to a lot of working-class people, you want the endorsement of Bernie Sanders. Those are what we call endorsements from public officials. Now, let's get down to your jurisdiction. If you're running in the United States of America, you're probably running on some sort of party line. Look at the people in your community of that same party who hold public office and consider asking them if they are willing to endorse your political campaign. If you are of the same party, there's a pretty good chance that they're willing to do that. Now, if you're not sure about who the elected officials are in your particular jurisdiction, go to ChatGPT, type in your district and say, who are the elected officials in this particular jurisdiction? And you're going to be surprised that you'll probably get a pretty accurate answer. So those are one kind of endorsements. Endorsements from other office holders or elected officials. The second kind of endorsement are what we call special interest groups or cause-driven organizations. So for example, if your issue is healthcare, if you say we need to do a better job providing healthcare to people who don't have it, it helps amplify your message if you are endorsed by people like nurses and doctors and healthcare workers that are in the healthcare industry. It helps your brand. It helps you disseminate your message. It gives you the good housekeeping seal of approval to be endorsed by organizations based upon your policy position. That goes on in politics all the time. It's a symbiotic relationship between a candidate's issue position and the kinds of organizations that are likely to support a candidate who takes that particular position. Likewise, perhaps you want to clean up the environment or stop pollution or breathe cleaner air. Having the endorsement of environmental organizations to help you amplify that message will enhance the viability of your campaign because it increases your manpower and it increases what we call your megaphone because you now have more people and organizations promoting you rather than you just promoting yourself alone. There are also some strategic things that go on with endorsements from special interest groups. And I'll mention this in passing. I have lived in New York most of my life. New York once had, believe it or not, a Republican governor. His name was George Pataki. He was elected and re-elected to 3 different terms in New York. Now, how does a Republican win in New York? Well, it was one of his habits. He, unbeknownst to most, was very pro-environment. And in each one of his campaigns, he got the endorsement of practically every environmental organization in New York State. That sent a signal that this Republican governor was actually a very reasonable, moderate governor, and it helped him in each of those elections to appeal to independent voters. This is an example of using an endorsement for strategic positioning in an election. If you are interested in running for public office someday, I have a beautiful gift for you. It's called 12 Essential Steps to Prepare for a Political Campaign. It's in the link below this video. Click it and get your own copy. Another kind of endorsement is what we call prominent people in your community. influential leaders, opinion leaders. Every community has them. It's the people who perhaps served in public office in years prior. It's the people who are perhaps the prominent lawyer in town, or the prominent business owner in town, or the prominent philanthropist in your community. They are the kind of people who, when they talk, people tend to listen. And having the support of those kinds of people in your community can be very helpful. And in fact, it's just last week I was crafting a mail piece for a candidate in Kentucky. And I made up a quote that I wanted someone to say. And I sent him a draft of the mail piece. It was all done, except I didn't have a name underneath the quote. And he looked at me and says, "Who am I supposed to find that's going to put their name on this quote?" And I told him exactly the kind of person I was looking for. Somebody in a particular part of his county who was very well respected, that lots of people knew, who had what we call stature. And he says, "I know exactly the name we ought to put there." He called the person and said, "Would you be willing to say this on my behalf?" The guy said, "Absolutely, put my name there." Voila, the piece has gone out, and everybody in that piece of the county is going to see that this guy they really like, who's well respected, has offered his endorsement of this political candidate. There's another kind of endorsement that doesn't get enough attention. It has been used adroitly through the years, or at least in my case. And those are common, everyday people that you put on mail pieces, you put on Facebook ads, that you advertise to the media when they come. It could be the florist in your community. It could be the veteran in your community. It could be the bakery owner in your community. It could be a steel worker in your community. These are common, everyday small business owners, common, everyday working class people who you can use on your advertising. They are testifying that they know you, they have met you, and they think you should hold office in your community. Believe it or not, if you don't have a lot of prominent people in your contact list, start with a few everyday people that you do know and ask them to issue an endorsement that you can put on social media or in a mail piece. We spent a lot of time talking about political endorsements. Now, I'm going to tell you about a pretty unique way to help you secure political endorsements for yourself. That is the adroit use of social media in your campaign. I can't tell you the number of posts that have been put up by candidates that were noticed by people in their community that led to an endorsement in a political campaign. While this information is fresh in your mind, there's another video below this one, is how to use social media in a political campaign. Go watch that video, grab a pen, because you're going to learn how to use that to get political endorsements.